Tech East Tuesday. Levack and Goz, how you doing? Great show for you today, or at least as good as we get. We got Buster Olney joining us at 5 o'clock. Just call him Bust a Bust. Just see if he answers, kind of thing.
Look at that, Levack. Our first lined up, scheduled, dare I call it, appointment listening here on Levack and Goz. I feel like the whole show is appointment listening. But
I mean, I agree. And somebody's already in. So, so just I reached out to him last week. Bus said, you know what, 5 o'clock Tuesday, I can make that work for you. Give me a call. And so Buster Olney, he was, one of the first guests that brought the afternoon show to life back in the day. And maybe more than 3 people will watch this thing when he calls in. Actually, I got to call him. So let's hope this works.
Here's the thing with Buster. Usually you and I would talk to him before we hit record.
Yeah.
This is live.
I did warn him. He's going right in.
All right.
And there's nowhere to hide. We're here at Tech East Fire and Water Restorations, Tech East Tuesday. Best way back to normal. Visit online, tefirewater.com. And it's been overcast all day. The second we're about to start talking, sun comes beaming through the window. This is going to be uncomfortable for us, and we're well lit. I do have to. I put this up online earlier. Oh, let me do this.
Oh, what are you doing, Levack?
So I shaved my head.
For those who can't see this, Levack just took his hat off.
Shaved my head. If you can't see it, you're not watching on Tech East Fire and Water Restoration Facebook or Godzilla Media's YouTube page. That's the problem. So everybody's like, my favorite was our buddy Whitey, who goes, "Did you go into the barber shop and say, 'Give me the Raider'?" And he was like, "Got you, fam." And because I guess I look like a Raider fan right now, like I don't all the time. No, the bottom line, I don't know if you can see it. Hold on, guys. Tell me.
Careful, Levack. Here, let me move the camera closer to your skull. Yes, you can see it. It looks like a big dot there. Blue, yep, there it is.
Move the camera, we can't move it back. So I'd have something like removed from my skull. It turns out I had so much brain, I needed to give some back. So I had a little minor surgery yesterday, so I shaved the head to match up with the back. Back of my head looks like the laces on a homemade football. That's what the back of my head looks like right now. So that's why the head shaved. I would love to pretend it was like solidarity for Cancer Awareness Month and all that other stuff, but we can do that afterwards. But right now, just a little new haircut, new look. Not sure how I feel about it. Don't hate it. Very comfortable, very easy to work with, except for the fact that there's a football threading on the back of my head.
How's your brain felt?
Brain feels fine. Okay. Brain good. I swear a lot more, but it's shit happens. Just a way weird. It's weird though. Like I went in yesterday, so I had like a bump. I guess it was like sitting on an artery, so they had to mess with it, and it was so backed up and waiting forever. And they got me on an IV. I went through like 2 bags of IV solution, waiting to go in. You know what makes you pee faster than any alcoholic binge you've ever been on? 2 bags of IV solution. Like every time they turn around, I'm like, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna go pee again. But everything went fine. I woke up, my hands are covered in blood, and they're like, yeah, we're not really sure how that happened. I'm like, is this like a prank? Is this what you guys do? My hands are like, all I can imagine is at some point during it, I must have like went, what's going on or something, and while I was out. But yeah, they were like, no, you're fine, everything's cool, wash your hands. So, or I will tell you this. There were 4 people when I went to sleep. There was only 3 when I woke up. So I'm assuming, somebody got these hands.
He or she is now no longer with us. Do you think you did your own surgery? Is that possible?
I might have. I am a do-it-yourself kind of guy. That is a known fact. We're Tech East Fire and Water Restoration. And here's the deal. Not my best locks week again. 2 in a row, better than I did last week, but not my best locks week. But I do think it's time to look at this season. We're 3 games in. Every team's played 3 games. Who's where you thought they'd be? Who's fallen off your list? What do you think about this year's season so far, guys? Are there surprise teams in either direction for you?
Well, let's start with some of these New York teams. First, I want to start with the New York Jets because of how bad they are. The Denver Broncos, I predict, is like my surprise playoff team in 2021. The Broncos are 3-0. Although they've played against teams with an 0-9 record.
Yeah. Broncos are trash, and it's going to get shown this week, by the way.
I feel like I'm going to stick with Denver, even though it's going to be, as you've heard it a few times, I'll probably continue saying throughout the football season, the boredom games. Just don't watch those. They're not going to show up on Red Zone a lot. But the New York Jets, more focus on them.
Garbage.
How did they get worse? Are they worse than last year? Because it feels like it. Sam Darnold was there. Now they bring in a rookie. They bring in a new head coach. It's not Adam Gase. Nobody can blame him. The Jets are worse after those 3 games than they were last season, which is remarkable to think about.
What I think you're seeing is it's almost like when you see a college program change over, right? Like Michigan fans will remember this when they finally went, we're going to go with Rich Rod. Rich Rodriguez, we're going to let him come in. We're going to play a different. We're not going to do 3 yards in a cloud of dust anymore. We're going to spread it out. We're going to get crazy. Well, yeah, it's going to take like 3 years to recruit the right people, get them in college a little different. It's going to be different. The guys you got square pegs going around holes. I think that's what you're seeing with the Jets. Like if you look at first Carl Lawson not being there, that was supposed to be the Bosa pass rusher in the Robert Saleh defense. Mike LaFleur is a new offensive coordinator. Greg Knapp was supposed to be the guy who was going to hold his hand and teach him. He passes away tragically before the season. I don't think they're worse. I mean, obviously they're worse, but I don't think they're in a worse spot. They're going to play poorly for a while, but I think they'll get their stuff together.
With the Jets organization, we go to the whys, right? So, like, why is Zach Wilson the quarterback? Okay, he was a top-tier recruit, top 5
very
pick.
Flashy.
Yeah, all that.
Can do a lot of things.
That makes sense. Why is Robert Saleh the coach? He was one of the hottest coordinators in the NFL because of how good he was for that 49er defense.
He can climb up a wall and then run stairs.
Right. Like, okay, we get why Wilson's there. We understand why Saleh's there. Here's the biggest why. Why is Joe Douglas there? We know the answer, though.
Yeah.
Don't we know why he got hired? Because he worked well with Adam Gase. Adam Gase picked the GM. So if he's got that stink of Gase still around him, you know what? You're Gase's buddy, aren't you? Why are you still here anyways?
But here's the thing. Like, Douglas was recruited heavily by a lot of teams. Like, if you're going to do that, I think you got to go all the way back to where you should have hired Matt Rule. Like, you should have hired Matt Rule. Let him hire his coordinators. That's where he stops there. Joe Douglas has not had the opportunity to do what he really wanted to do yet. This is the first swing at Joe Douglas's team. Remember, year one of Joe Douglas, Mike McCagnon drafted that team. They hired him after the draft. So you can't, that's a mulligan. You're out. That's a COVID draft. We have, this is the first beginning of a Joe Douglas team we're seeing. And Joe Douglas hired Robert Saleh. So yes, there's a little Adam Gase stink on him still, but I really think they're headed in the right direction. Look at the moves they made. I would have liked to keep Sam Darnold. I'm with you on that. Sam Darnold, I think Sam Darnold got a raw shake, but he actually finally has got a good one. But it's a better team around him. Would he be any good here? Zach Wilson can do all the things, checks all the boxes. He's just got to learn to read an NFL defense. That's not easy to do. Your defense isn't what you thought it'd be yet. All these things. Patience, grasshopper.
It'd feel better if the Panthers weren't 3-0. Robbie Anderson, Sam Darnold, and Matt Rule.
No.
Better.
Yeah, well, and that's obvious, but you can't. You said goodbye to that. Like you like to make the girlfriend analogy where it's like, well, you break up and then she looks good or whatever. She shows up, whatever. I probably made it as well. You can't worry about it anymore. You got the new girlfriend. You got the new girlfriend, Zach Wilson. You can't look at Sam Darnold anymore. The only time you looked at Sam Darnold was week 1 when he slapped the hell out of you. And now here we are. Here you are. You're in the woods. You got to keep going through till you come out on the other side. Don't Chip Kelly this thing and fire him too soon.
Buffalo, the Bills look like a completely different team. Talking about looking like the past. The team that showed up week 1 against Pittsburgh feels like a completely different team that showed up in week 3 against the football team. Josh Allen with multiple touchdowns. The Bills Mafia going crazy. Buffalo, I don't know what the hell happened in week 1, especially in comparison to what Pittsburgh looked like against Cincinnati, where I sent you the video of Roethlisberger just falling down over nothing.
He's such a turd.
So Buffalo looked like a Super Bowl contender.
I named one of my fantasy football teams after Roethlisberger.
Well, what's the name of the team?
Bathroom Liberties.
Oh my!
That's what I named them because he's a scumbag. No, look, the Steelers are in a transition. That's what they are. They're not ready to give up on Big Ben yet, but they don't have the heir apparent. Mason Rudolph's not going to save you. So there's going to be weeks where they beat the living daylights out of you. And then there's going to be weeks where they look like garbage. Like that's just who they are. So the Bills get them the week where they can beat you. That's what happened. Steelers are not that good. They're 1-2. It proves it. That's the AFC North is in a transition. The only team that still looks like themselves at all is probably Baltimore. Cleveland looks like they might be the class of that, but Cincinnati's at 2-1. Like Joe Burrow, it might be turning that around even sooner. Pittsburgh is going to fall off. They're an older team now because Ben's an older team.
Not only is Pittsburgh going to fall off, I would tell you they're going to be the last place team in the AFC North.
You don't think they eventually leapfrog Cincinnati?
Cincinnati just beat them. Cincinnati gets Jacksonville this week. Cincinnati just went out and proved that they're better than Pittsburgh this week. So I would lean towards the Bengals right now. You mentioned Cleveland. Baltimore is in a weird spot too because if it's not for a record-setting kick by Justin Tucker, we're talking about whether or not Baltimore's fallen off and how bad that loss is to Detroit, but that doesn't happen. So back to your original question of teams I'm believing in, teams that I'm giving up on, believing back in Buffalo, giving up on Pittsburgh. And the ultimate give up on This, Levack, was the worst loss I've seen in at least 6 years for the New York Giants.
Oh,
if you're a Giant fan,
that hurt.
You got to be embarrassed.
That hurt.
Embarrassed that is the effort you gave, the product you put on the field for when Eli Manning is getting his number retired, put it in the Ring of Honor, all this stuff. By the way, Fox, show some highlights of it. Why was Fox not showing a second of it?
None.
So they don't show any of that.
It didn't happen.
Fox. My goodness.
Is that? I think that's because he's ESPN's new glory hound.
Oh,
well, because ESPN is guilty of that. ESPN is very guilty of they'll only show you what happens for them. Now, obviously, there's film rights and stuff like the Ryder Cup. There's only so much they can do, stuff like that. But like, it almost feels like that's you're gonna sign with ESPN instead of us. Enjoy not getting covered.
Yeah, cover it at some other site, whatever.
Which is silly, but there it is. I mean, it's just what are the reasons you have to not at least show a little bit of it? Come back, a little V-roll kind of thing.
Just the ESPN Fox thing. That's the only thing. Now, when you said that, made sense to me. So if you talked about the worst teams in the NFL, in no particular order.
I'm telling you, there wasn't enough excitement in a 17-14 game to top and show 2 minutes of Eli being honored.
Jacksonville, New York, and New York. The Jets and Giants are 2 of the top 3 teams at the bottom of the NFL. Everything, though. Like, it's not even – we can't even point to Daniel Jones. We can't point to – the whole thing is a mess. From coaching to players to defense.
If anything, Daniel Jones has been closest thing to a bright spot. Saquon's getting healthy. Hopefully that'll come together. I'm not seeing what I was hoping to see out of Baby Megatron. I thought Galladay would come in and instantly be a difference maker, but that's not really fair either. Offensive line has been in some trouble. They haven't done anything right. Defense is what bothers me the most. Patrick Graham's got more this year than he had last year, and it's not getting done. And it's not playing at that level. I wouldn't be shocked if Jason Garrett gets fired after that temper tantrum that Mara threw. Because you're not going to take out Judge right now. It doesn't make sense. You're not taking out Graham. You fought to keep him. And if anything, Graham could be, if you do decide to get rid of Judge, don't you look at Graham as possibly somebody you want to at least look at? You're going to at least make somebody pay you to get a hold of Graham. You're not going to fire Graham.
I don't think you're going to fire Graham either. But if you look at that New York team, okay, we mentioned Denver earlier, but you're only able to put up 13 points in that game.
Garbage.
It's a shootout on a Thursday night against a divisional team in Washington. A few other plays go in the direction. Maybe you walk off that field with a victory and you're 1-2. Atlanta's one of the worst teams in the NFL. You lost to them outright. There was nothing impressive about that game. I know you just mentioned it. Like, really, Fox, you try to find highlights of that game. How did you do it? Good for you. But that's what it is. Like, and you look at their schedule going forward. Who are they going to beat? Like, I hate doing this because I've done this like 6 years in a row. It's like, go through the Giants.
We're talking Giants?
Who are they beating?
All right, who are they? All right, let's do it. You want to do it right now? We got some time.
I got it up for you if you want to hear it.
All right, yeah, let's roll.
Saints.
No.
Cowboys.
No.
Rams.
No.
Panthers
without McCaffrey. I still no, but I could believe it more. Is that in New York or in Carolina?
That game's in New York.
You know what? Maybe.
Okay. It's followed by the Chiefs, Raiders, and Bucks.
You know what? They always play the Raiders tough, though. Okay. They always play the Raiders tough. So of those, I could see them winning 2, and it would be the Run CMC lists, Panthers, and then the Raiders. Who knows? Again, I'm still not going to – I love my Raiders. I love the 3-0. They're the first team in the Super Bowl era to go 3-0 by beating 3 teams that had 10-plus wins the year before.
Whoa.
First team to ever do that. But if you ask me a team that makes you work for it more than the Raiders, like, I don't see the Raiders blowing anybody out this year. Like, they're just not that team. They as good as Gruden has been at getting them back into games, and Gus Bradley is a godsend to that defense. Every week, this week, Monday night against the Chargers, hate the Chargers, hate them. But if you told me the Chargers are either going to lose that game by 2 or blow out the Raiders by 17, either one, I'd be like, yeah, maybe, because that's just how that works.
Of those next upcoming 8 teams they play, 7 teams they play, you can make a good case 6 of those 7 teams are going to be in the playoffs. You can flip the Saints and the Panthers however you want, but if you argue to me that the Cowboys, Rams, Chiefs, and Bucks are going to be playoff teams, and your Raiders as well, and you flip that NFC South team, that's a brutal stretch for any team. You could see the New York Giants go 0-10 on that stretch, 0-10 for their first 10 games of the season.
Levack and Goz live on the Techies Fire and Water Restoration Facebook page, as well as Godzilla Media's YouTube. Ryan on the Facebook was at the game. Ingram needs to go.
Yes.
Get Coach Carm on, will you? Carm is busy on Tuesdays.
Anyways, back to the Ingram thing now.
But Carm knows he's always welcome. Always welcome. Matter of fact, Carm come to Tech East. Matter of fact, I met with Siena today about Tech East. We're looking to work with Siena. So we love Siena. We love basketball.
The Siena tips off in early November. So if we're gonna get Coach on, we probably got to aim for October, some point before the season tips off.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. Whatever. We figure something out.
But back to the Ingram thing. This goes back to when he was drafted.
He's a Falcons fan. That's a good week to talk to him.
Yeah, you and I were watching the draft together that year, and it was more about O.J. Howard. Like O.J. Howard's supposed to be the pick. O.J. Howard and O.J. Howard.
I mean, he just had that amazing game.
Yeah, and he'd fallen all the way to the Buccaneers, and he really has not had the career that people thought he would have out of that draft. But what happened?
He might now that Gronk's all busted up, though. I mean, who knows?
It's the second time though that the Giants and Buccaneers are involved in targets in the same position, and the Giants got the quote unquote leftovers because it happened years ago. I think it was 2012, where the Giants needed a running back and they wanted Doug Martin. And they'd planned on taking Doug Martin, and all of a sudden, the Buccaneers traded one pick ahead of him and took Doug Martin, and they were stuck with David Wilson, who ended up getting injured, really didn't find out what his career would have been. That's what Evan Ingram.
Runs around in bunny ears for a while.
Yeah, you never knew. Look, Evan Ingram can't catch or block, and now he also can't hold on to the football. But besides that, he's fine,
But
right?
isn't Ingram the perfect example of the guy who's they're going to cut him loose some way, shape, or form, and then he is going to go play for Denver, New Orleans, and he's gonna be a monster. He's gonna be a 100 yards a game guy. Like that's who he is. And I think that's why the Giants have the promise of what he could be versus what he's actually achieved.
That phrase right there you said could be said about every single New York Giants skill player right now. Saquon Barkley included, all of them. The hype was around him. They haven't produced enough. Saquon's been injured.
Saquon's hurt though. Yep. He's
hurt.
But you took him second. You got to do whatever you can to get him right. Because listen, there's two guys on that field who can walk out the door and take Gettleman with them. One's Saquon, the other one's Jones. Either one of those guys has to go. Gettleman's going with him. That's all there is to it. I'm glad I'm not a Giants fan. That's all I can say. Mike Porter says hi, everybody. It's Tech East Tuesday. The Jets are the Jets are a little worse than we thought they were. Giants are a lot worse than I thought they'd be. Bills are about as the Bills are scary good. They're scary good. I mean, they just when they want it, they go get it. And now it almost like that Pittsburgh loss was a little bit of a fire starter that they needed. I mean, that could be the deal. I look at teams I believe in and teams I don't believe in. I'll go division by division. Dolphins and Pats are somewhere between a 500 team and a just over 500 team, which if they get in the playoffs, nobody's going to want them. You're not going to want those. Bills, I still feel good about them winning the AFC East.
I'd agree. Yeah, I don't have any disagreements with those first three picks.
I still think the Ravens are going to end up winning the North. Or the Browns. I mean, either one of those teams. The AFC North is going to be really interesting. If Cleveland can hang around and Cleveland can continue to, I mean, Cincinnati. I'm sorry, Cincinnati. If Cincinnati can stay around, they're young enough and they're skilled enough, like almost like one of those teams where they don't know any better. Like they could jump up and take that division just because they don't know they shouldn't.
I like Cleveland still because now their defense has gotten better than Pittsburgh's and Baltimore's. Myles Garrett, he should have won the Defensive Player of the Year award earlier in his career, but because of him swinging a helmet around like a weapon, media members didn't want to necessarily embrace that. But you're gonna pick Aaron.
The way you said that, like almost like you didn't agree with them. Like, oh, media didn't want to give it to the guy who tried to bludgeon someone with a blunt object.
Like that affected his pass rush, right?
kind of. I feel like it might just a little. Yeah, no, I Cleveland looks good, but I won't sleep on Baltimore. I won't. They draft so well. I mean, how many years can you continue to give up one of, if not the best pass rushers, one of, if not the best offensive lineman? They do it every year. Like Yannick Ngakoue is on the Raiders. Matthew Judon is on New England. Either one of those guys. You look at the reason the Raiders won that fist fight of a game on Sunday was Ngakoue late in the game coming after people. Carl Nass has been reborn, by the way. I guess the weight off his shoulder of living his truth has helped him. Good for him. God bless him. I thought he was close to getting released. I thought they were going to release him because when you look at what they have with Max Crosby, Cleve Farrell, Yannick Ngakoue, like one of these things is not like the other. Now Nass is playing like he did back in his Penn State days. Good for him, man. Again, there had to be a weight on him, wondering if everybody's going to accept him. I don't 100% trust the Raiders though. Like since we're over there, like I said, Baltimore can continue to just flip these guys in and out. I don't trust my Raiders 100% yet. I still can see a scenario where Kansas City jumps out of that basement and wins the West.
Kansas City and Vegas have been such an interesting starts to both their season because you mentioned the stats there, how many of the good teams Vegas has already beaten. Carr is playing to the level we saw years ago. Gruden may be doing the best job he's done coaching that team, while Kansas City's defense continues to just have holes in it. Herbert chopped it up a little bit. Cleveland had its opportunities. If they're able to just push it a little bit deeper into the second half, Mahomes can put up all the yards that he wants, but the defense has to eventually make some plays and do something for that. If you told me who I trust more, I would say I have more faith in comparison to the preseason in Vegas than I do in Kansas City. I picked Buffalo to win the AFC. Kansas City has not shown me anything that now I feel like I should switch my pick and go Kansas City is the best team in the conference. I could believe now that the Raiders are a playoff team. I didn't believe that in August.
So, all right, let's remember, though, Kansas City should be 2-1. Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumbles for the first time as a pro against Baltimore. That's not bad coaching. That's a bad play for a young kid who's showing that he could be a pro running back. So I still, Kansas City is going to come around. I don't know exactly when it's going to. They're going to come around and they're going to start slapping the hell out of people. Denver, I'm sorry, you're 3-0 against 0-9. You're 3-0 against 0-9. I'm not afraid of you. I'm way more afraid of the Chargers than I am the Broncos. If you want to tell me the team that nobody probably picked to win the West or a very small that's going to win it, and you want to tell me the Chargers, this Monday night will decide that. The Raiders beat the Chargers on Monday night. I'm going to be unbearable. I'm going to be you are not like I was close to being bad this week, but if they beat the Chargers on Monday Night Football,
Herbert's really good.
He is.
I've told you already about Denver earlier. I know there's so much more boring and not as fun to root for in comparison to the Chargers when you got Herbert throwing the ball around. Staley, by the way, is the head coach. Let's play that game of just randomly ask who the Chargers head coach is to somebody you know and see if they know who it is.
Yeah, do Staley. Yeah, running back, right? No, not the same guy.
I feel like when he actually got named the head coach, nobody knew. Like, did they announce that on a Sunday at 1:00 and just never had a press conference? I don't even remember that happening when he got named the head coach of that team.
I'm pretty sure I picked Dallas to win the NFC East. I feel great about that, considering they're so talented. It doesn't matter. McCarthy's a crap coach. Mike McCarthy might be the worst coach with the best team.
He just does some weird stuff with the clock.
He is weird. You mean you said shitty wrong? Like, he's terrible. Like, they win in spite of him. Like, I get it. You're trying to save Zeke for the end of the year. Look what happens when you let Zeke run a little bit. Look what happens. And the Philly's not a bad team. They are not a bad team. They are way better than I thought they'd be. I know they're 1-2, whatever. But you manhandled them, and you're not a good coach. I'm sorry. Dallas, really, on paper, probably the two most talented teams are Cleveland and Dallas. And I like Cleveland's coaching staff a hell of a lot more than I like Dallas's coaching staff. You give that Dallas roster to at least 7 other coaches in the NFL, and they are prohibitive Super Bowl favorites.
And you talk every year about Dak Prescott as the MVP of the league. Just like
he's awesome.
What happens with Dak Prescott, too, is games like that last night where he goes back after his injury, back home. He's emotional during the playing of the national anthem. And at the end of the game, it's like, you know what? Dak might be in the MVP conversation. It's like, no, let's just talk about him being one of the best quarterbacks in the league. You just mentioned the stuff there with Mike McCarthy and Jason Garrett. It's time to have the conversation of top 5. Dak Prescott somewhere in this conversation now of what quarterbacks do you want? He can do it all. He can pass, he can run, he can make the offensive plays. He may have overcome bad coaching. This guy could do everything you want out of a quarterback in the NFL.
Think about this, right? Raiders, Derek Carr, MVP conversation, 2nd round pick. Dak, 4th round pick. You know, you go through, and a lot of these guys who are in the mix right now, not either late first or like Tom Brady, 6th round pick. Like, if you're good at drafting quarterbacks, you don't have to burn an early first on them. You don't have to. But, you know, then there's Josh Allen, who's a monster, and, you know, Joe Burrow, who looks pretty damn good. Ryan Tannehill, which is garbage, but that team's good. Tannehill's garbage. I'm sorry. He's straight trash.
Yeah, it didn't help that A.J. Brown was not doing things on Sunday.
No,
but Ryan Tannehill got 2 monster contracts. That's your reward. If everyone calls you trash, you know what? Probably you are, but you got your 2 fat contracts. I don't know how the hell you did it twice, but you figured it out. Shout out to your agent, whoever it is.
I don't get him. Like, it's like a cascade of quarterback questions when I start looking at Ryan Tannehill. And by the way, if you're watching on Tech East Fire and Water Restoration's Facebook page, thank you. If you're watching on Godzilla Media's YouTube, thank you. If you are grabbing us on Spotify or anything else later, thank you. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, and then text us your pictures of your mom and about them. No? No?
You're so
You won't look? You won't look?
I don't want to look at people's
You won't
moms
look?
and
Come on.
bathrooms.
You won't look? You'll look.
Maybe.
All right, there you go. For those of you looking at my haircut right now, it is not a political stance. I had a little scalp surgery going on. That's what that's all about. So here's the deal. Tyler wants to know when Jeremy's coming on to talk about the Bills.
I believe he means Jeremy White from WGR 550. I'll shoot him a text. Maybe he'll come on. He came on with us a couple of years ago. I know Jeremy, Auburn, New York guy. Same person who hired Jeremy at GR hired me in Syracuse. So yeah, all right. Tyler wants Jeremy White. Fine, we'll figure it out.
If you're gonna request guest, can you give me the full name? Because I never would have got that. I never would. Oh no! Tyler's asking about Jeremy here at Techie Fire and Water Restoration.
Wow, what a whiff by me,
Tyler. I love Jared to death. Jared is the quietest, soft-spoken, best guy in the world. If you want to like see somebody react to an object the way a vampire reacts to a cross, you can chase Jeremy with a microphone. I have asked him to come on this show like a bunch of times, and he is not going to do it. He's just not going to do it. He'd, as a matter of fact, Techies Tuesday, I start setting this up at 3:30. That man's out of this building by 3:25. Just in case. And a lot of it's because not only is he one of the best here at the mitigation game, fire, water, all that, but he also heads up our tree removal division. So if there's a tree removal to do and the damage it caused, Jared's there. That's the guy you want there. So that's it. We got our boy Ryan. Thought I was wearing a sport coat for a second. Just the sun. No, it's a hoodie. Nice haircut. Ryan likes, of course, because it's almost your haircut, Ryan. And by Ryan's haircut, I mean I've been in prison so long, I just shaved my head, so I don't have to wait in line for a real haircut. That's what his is. And he's a pastor, but I'm a minister. So there you go. Yeah, I do want to say we're thrilled to be here at Tech East Fire and Water Restoration. That's way back to normal. Visit them on TE, firewater.com, Tech East Tuesday. Thrilled to be on Godzilla Media's YouTube page. But it is freaking hot in here. Like this is going to be, I'm going to bitch about the sun every Tuesday until full blown fall, until the sun's down at like, what times it go down in the fall here? Noon. This is aggressive in here. And like, I've got the AC cranked and this is like Goz is sweating.
I am sweating. I thought it was something I did wrong. I kind of like it though. I feel like it's a good mix between I'm active, my hands are flying everywhere, my arm. I feel like if you sweat, that's considered a workout. And in my mind, I'm working out right now.
In your mind, you're getting a little workout. Before we call Buster Olney, and yes, Buster's on the show today. I'm sorry, Corey from Greenwich. Damn it, I didn't pay them enough to shave your beard while you were asleep. Corey, the only money you have is the money I give you to buy meat and stuff, man. Like, whatever. I want to tell go ahead.
Sorry, I know you're about to do something, shout out one of our partners, but I got to tell you a story about Corey real quick. Corey, he was at one of our events at the Hideaway recently, and he goes, "Hey, guys, I got something for you." I'm like, Corey, I'm good, man. I had some of your meat in my mouth earlier. Like, I'm good. I'm fine. He's like, I don't know.
Nuts.
He's like, I got something for you. I got some corn. I'm like, you know what? All right, Corey, I don't have money on me. It's like, it's free. I'm like, wow, you got free corn? You know what? Now you're talking my language. Let me come over to you.
Yeah.
The big ass thing of corn that you would like find to like decorate your house. Like, Corey, what am I going to do with this? He's got a truck. He's take it for free.
Did you take it?
No.
What was it, like feed?
Me. Yeah, I thought I was getting like corn on the cob, enjoy that for a nice Sunday fall dinner. Corey's got just stacks of corn in his truck.
Just think of all the sausage and corn you could have made with that, man. That's true. You could have got crazy with that stuff. All right, I'm going to do this. Let's see if this works. We haven't done this yet.
While you do this, should I shout out a sponsor or partner? Or you want to
I don't know.
Let's see. This? All right, here we go.
Let's see what happens here. I want to call our guy. So here we go.
Why would I do this? Why would I ever do this?
He answered, and we're thrilled that Buster Olney, ESPN MLB insider, the best there is, was, ever will be. He's the Bret Hart of baseball talk, my friends. Buster, how have you been?
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
All right, listen, I've missed you. Every once in a while, somebody will ask me a baseball question. I'm like, I'll ask Buster on Tuesday. Oh, And then I start crying on Thursday. Oh,
I wanted to say I missed Buster, but
I thought you were going to. I thought. Well, I mean, Goz, we know why you're crying. Okay. Right? I mean, I'm sorry, it's the Orioles, so we know why you're crying, and I'm sure Levack all year has been like bipolar over the Yankees because that's how the Yankees have been.
It's 100% correct. You have no idea how right you are. Like, we did this, so we've started doing this a little while ago. We got Levack and Goz back, but it's just not Levack and Goz without Buster Olney. And thank you for making time, even though you're being mean about it. I've been in and out. Like there was a point, Buster, I might have missed like 4 or 5 games. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna let them do this to me anymore. This is an abusive relationship. I'm gonna stop watching. Then they win 13 in a row. I'm like, I'm back in. Then they lose 2 of 15. They only win 2 of 15. I've been so in and out. I even predicted I'd be back in right now. Here I am, and here you are.
And the Yankees played over the weekend with so much confidence. It almost felt like that Aaron Judge should leave Fenway Park with New York playing with the way that they dominated that series. Yeah, right, exactly. With the way that they dominated that series up in Fenway. And look, it's amazing, for all the injuries they've had with their pitching staff. It's all seemingly coming together for them at the right time. They got guys coming back. They got Judge and Stanton swinging the bat well. A lot of good things happening, but they do there's no doubt about it. They have the hardest road over the next 6 days relative to the other 3, wild card contenders they're competing against: the Red Sox, the Jays, and the Mariners.
Buster, this is the year where they're doing all the things I've complained about in the past. You make the big moves. You bring in, Rizzo. You bring in Gallo. You do all these things. Judge and Stanton are both playing great. Your pitching's coming back together when you need to. You've added the pieces. And I feel less confident this year than I in the years when they didn't do all those things.
Which is justified because, it really does. And I think if you were to give truth serum to people in the Yankees organization, they would acknowledge it's really hard to predict exactly what this team is going to do. Because you thought at the beginning of the year, okay, maybe some rotation issues, maybe some questions about depth in the bullpen, especially after Zach Britton got hurt, but we know we're going to score. And that hasn't been the case. The offense has been incredibly erratic. And then they go out and they get Joey Gallo and they Anthony Rizzo, and then you feel at that point, okay, now the offense is going to take off. And then they still go back to having the problems. And Rizzo, since he came back from COVID, really hasn't been the same type of hitter. Gallo's very streaky. But as they say, it's coming together. Stanton has been in the lineup. He absolutely looks great. Aaron Judge looks great. Gleyber Torres, as Alex Rodriguez relayed the story the other day, from Marcus Sims, their hitting coach, when they called Gleyber to tell him that he was going to move from short to second. It was like you could see the 1,000,000-pound weight come off his shoulders, and he looks like a completely different player. There's still an island of misfit toys in infield defense, and in a big moment, that might be a circumstance that might betray them. But they do seem like they're kind of pulling pieces together. Whether or not you're going to buy in completely is completely up to you.
And there's something exciting about Severino now, because at one point in his career, he felt like the chosen one, the next big arm, the next big ace for the Yankees, and his career has gone so many different ways. Now with his role out of the bullpen, it feels like there's a little extra energy. Yankee fans want to cheer for him a little bit louder. What type of impact can Severino have over the next week?
Yeah, he is he is an X factor. There's no question about it. He, in that first outing, he had good results. And I talked to Yankees people after that, and I'm like, what do you think? And they said, well, tell you what, the command of the secondary stuff was good. Fastball velocity wasn't quite where you want it to be. We'll see. Then he had that great outing against the Red Sox, and in particular, his second inning was even better than the first. And so by the end of the weekend, the Yankees people were saying, yeah, we might have something. And they might have Jonathan Loáisiga back, and potentially we'll see how he pitches when he comes back. But you guys know there's only been, 2 other guys in the team this year who are more important than Loáisiga was to that club, and that was Judge and Garrett Cole. And they also have Domingo Germán, who's back and potentially could play a role. He pitched a lot of innings. He's not going to be afraid. So Aaron Boone, who, 2 weeks and 2 days ago started Clark Schmidt against the Mets. And the reason why, as I was told by someone in the organization, was, well, we don't really have anybody else. They're in a different place right now going into this Toronto series, and they're going to need it because facing the Blue Jays first, a really good offensive team, and a place where they've had a lot of success at home, and then facing the Rays after that.
Buster, I got a text message from the local bus company that I love, Yankee Trails, which is a great name. And they were like, are you interested if the Yankees host the Red Sox on October 5th on going to the game? So let me ask you, am I interested? Like, dude, is this something I want to talk about?
I got to tell you, I mean, any TV executive worth his salt or any sideline reporter that you guys happen to know, he would be rooting for a one-game wild card, Red Sox Yankees. I was 14 years old when that 1978 playoff game happened. I'll never forget it. I absolutely, because the Yankees had beaten my darling Dodgers in the World Series the year before. I was very invested in the Yankees losing in 1978 in that playoff game against the Red Sox. So I skipped school that day, didn't go, watched the first inning, and then my stepdad yelled to me on the farm back in Vermont, "Hey, Buster, the cows got out, and you have to go retrieve the cows." And so I spent 2 innings blubbering, weeping the whole way because I was so angry at the unfairness of life. But I retrieved the cows and then saw it, and Bucky Dent ripped my guts out like he did every other New Englander in that game. It would be phenomenal to have a one-game playoff between the Yankees and Red Sox.
Was that the day that you decided to title your book "The Last Days of the Yankee Dynasty"? Is that?
Listen to you.
Buster Olney with us right now. We're live on the Techie Fire Water Restoration Facebook page. We're live on Godzilla Media YouTube. He answered the phone, so he stuck with us.
This is going to feel weird, this question now, especially after how much we just talked about how great a Red Sox Yankee one-game wild card would be. Okay, if it doesn't happen, is it still the right thing? Like, does baseball need to expand the postseason and to go back? I know after that answer you just gave, it feels like this is perfect, but what do you see the future of the one-game wild card being?
Well, I think they're going to expand playoffs in the next labor agreement, and they'll come up with a sweet spot where they do like, and the networks like, and I work for a network that likes it. Those games that have all the meaning in the world, the one game with everything riding on one game, and so I don't think they'll go away from say a one game wild card or a best of 3. But I think next year, if the playoff field were to 14, that would not surprise me at all. Or maybe to 12. The Player Association, for reasons I still haven't figured out, did not take the opportunity to negotiate for that, get some money in return for it this year. But I think with the new CBA this winter, assuming that they actually come up with an agreement, I think they'll have expanded playoffs. I think there's just such a great appetite for it from any potential television partners that Major League Baseball will keep doing to some form of a one-game playoff.
Buster, what happens first? Expansion of the wild card series, or the Orioles are actually relevant in the postseason?
Oh my God! No.
Well, I mean the expansion of the playoff field is going to happen next year. The Orioles might be a decade away from relevancy. Okay,
I was going to say plus or minus 5 years. I tried to be nice to him.
Stop it, Buster. For those who don't follow you on Twitter, can you give that stat about the Orioles payroll that you shared on Twitter the other day?
Yeah. So as I pointed out, that the first Orioles fan who turns in their season ticket renewal for 2022 will officially have more money invested in the 22 team than the team does. Okay? The Orioles do not have a single player under 2022 contract on their active roster. Okay? Now, I want to make sure that I'm not they do have arbitration eligible players. They have a lot of players under team control, and they will sign a bunch of guys. But all indications are they're going to keep their payroll in 2022 about what the Yankees are paying Garrett Cole. That's how much the Orioles are going to have. And as I've written about a lot this year, that's a complete and utter embarrassment for baseball, and how awful for a city of great baseball fans, a great fan base that Baltimore has. They're going to become the first American League team in all likelihood to lose at least 108 games in 3 consecutive seasons. And I want to make this clear. We know that Trey Mancini's trying to win, and we know Brandon Hyde's trying to win. Cedric Mullins had a great year. But when your front office designs failure and tanks the way that this team has, it's awful. And I think a lot of some of the results of the new labor agreement are going to be anti-tanking measures, and with everyone having the Orioles, recent plight on top of mind, because it's really bad for baseball. And, among the different races that are going to be settled this week, the wild card races, the National League West, the National League East, I think everyone's wondering, will the Orioles reach a run differential of minus 300? Because it's going to be touch and go as to whether they hit that number.
It's 278 right now. I heard, like a lot of these teams, to be more politically correct, are changing their names. I've heard that the Birds, Orioles, have asked them to change their name. I've heard it's that bad.
Oh my God! Well, here's the stat, and I will tell you, I've had this conversation with about 5 different players from around baseball about the Orioles, and I point out that during that losing streak, was it 18 or 19 Goz? And I say that I can't remember, 18 or 19 straight losses. You know what the average run differential was? The average loss in that losing streak was, and they lost by an average of 5.5 runs per game in that losing streak. That's insane. That a theoretically Major League Baseball team would be that bad.
They were once an organization that was so powerful they could keep other teams away from them. They had the ability to keep other teams. Now everybody wants to be in Baltimore because it's an easy win.
You know what, guys? I think the dirt's on the grave. I think we're going to move on. I think we've done enough here.
No. I got one more shovel.
One more.
Go ahead.
I got one more shovelful. I said on the podcast this week, it's like down the stretch, the Orioles are all the American League East teams get out of jail free cards. Like, the Red Sox are cashing theirs in the next 3 days, and over the weekend, the Blue Jays will turn in their last get out of jail free card.
It's so, and it's like, it's a real thing. Like, as a Yankee fan, I'm watching that closely because we clearly have the harder draw on the rest of the way out because we just don't have the Orioles.
Well, that literally is the difference between the Yankees contending for the division title or not. Tampa Bay went 18-1 against Baltimore, as I realize I'm shoveling even more dirt on Goz's team. And the Yankees went 11-8, and they have recriminations. Like, they're upset. The Yankees are like, oh my God, we only won 11 out of 19. What a disaster! How bad are we?
Like, right now, the Yankees are a game ahead of the Red Sox, but if you look at ESPN.com, the playoff odds, Yankees are 80.6. Red Sox are 86.3, and it has to be those 3 games. It has to be the 3 easy wins. That's all there is to it.
It might be
right.
I was going to say, Buster,
100%.
In the preseason, if you guys remember, there were certain people that just gave the Orioles a 0% chance for the postseason, and now that 0 might have sat there for a lot longer than I realized. All right, so now.
Well, I think I was talking to you guys in the spring when the over-unders came out for various teams, and I don't place bets. But I am sort of interested in seeing where the numbers are, and I think the over/under on the Orioles was 62.5, and I was like telling my family members, like, go and sell the farm back in Vermont, bet all of it, bet the whole thing,
put it all in there.
Really. But I did talk about it and wrote about it in the spring. Like, that to me was the easiest number I've seen covering baseball because there was no indication that the Orioles front office had any intention of trying to win this year.
That's insane.
Insane. Let's.
I don't even feel bad for you anymore, gosh. You do this to yourself.
It's just so bad. If you're watching on our visual side, you can just see me hiding in the shadows while those answers are going, as if nobody could see me. We haven't mentioned the Blue Jays, though. Whether or not the Blue Jays get into the postseason is still to be determined. But the overall future of this franchise, let's say Toronto doesn't get in. Buster, are they a year away or 2 years away from actually being a division champion as soon as the AL East?
Well, they'll contend for it for sure. Whether or not they win it, we'll see, because the Red Sox are the Red Sox, and they got a lot of money, and they got really great players. And the Yankees, I think, are going to go nuts this winter and spend a lot of money. And it might be a winner similar to what we saw in 2008, 2009 when they signed Sabathia and Teixeira and AJ Burnett. So it's going to be a tall mountain. And then you mentioned the Rays, who obviously have figured out the secret sauce, but the spirit of your question is exactly right. The Blue Jays are a young team that's dynamic. They're so much fun to watch. They definitely have the ability to break Levack's heart over the next 72 hours because they have this great circular lineup like the Yankees have. And I tell you what, when you think about places where there's a distinct home field advantage, Toronto is one of those. Like, that crowd gets into it. And the players seem to really respond to that energy, and they actually have opened up more seating there. Eased up on some of the COVID protocols they have there, and that'll be in effect for tonight's game and for this series. So they'll be an interesting team. I think the X factor for them is Hyun-Jin Ryu is pitching against Jameson Taillon tonight, and for both teams, those two guys are great unknowns. Tyone's come back from injury, and Ryu really kind of crumbled down the stretch with his command. And so they basically gave him some days off, I think, to rest him and maybe make him feel a little bit better. But I don't think they have any idea, how he's going to pitch. And the other part of the Blue Jays is a concern now and will be into 2022 is the depth in their bullpen. But that's something you usually can figure out.
Here in the Capital Region, people love horse racing and maybe like a thoroughbred at Saratoga. Far on the outside, coming down the stretch that nobody saw. Are we not counting the Mariners? What happens with Seattle here in the final few games?
Well, and they could. Now, they are in that position. You're right. As we are talking, they're a game and a half behind the Red Sox for the second wild card. And they've been playing great. And they're playing Oakland, a team which just is, withering in front of our eyes. And maybe they've beaten them down emotionally and they'll finish them off. And then they play the Angels after that. So there's opportunity. But when you're in that position, a game and a half behind the second wild card, if you lose one game in the next couple days, that might finish you. Because, if the Yankees were to, win out, or the Red Sox were to win out, or the Blue Jays were to win out, that they obviously wouldn't be able to make up that ground. Interestingly, I think the Phillies are in the same position. They go into the series against the Braves tonight, 2.5 games behind. And if you lose one game in this 3-game series, that might be it, effectively. So there's not a lot of margin for error, but the Mariners are also a young and exciting team. And no matter what happens for Seattle down the stretch, this will have been a year of progress.
Buster, before we spring you from this remembrance of the hell you used to have to go through every week, there was a point where the Mets looked like they were the team in New York. They obviously fell off; they're eliminated now, but they got Syndergaard supposed to pitch tonight. How far off is this team, and is there ever a future where we're not going, oh, that's so Mets, when something stupid happens with their GM or their active GM? Yeah,
I got to tell you, I'm kind of at the point with them where I want evidence to indicate otherwise. I've had people who work within the organization tell me that this year has been more dysfunctional than any year under the Wilpons. Okay, wow. Which is saying something. That is a high bar that that this year, because as you mentioned,
makes Mets fans go to a bar.
Right. They hired Jared Porter, and he gets banned for sexual harassment that took place in the past. And then Zach Scott ascends to be the acting general manager, and he gets DWI. To your point, you've got the franchise player who's giving thumbs down to the fans because he's unhappy with the booing. And by the way, I suspect that part of the message from Giancarlo Stanton, who knows something about being booed, to Lindor when he was yelling at him standing at a shortstop was, hey, put on your big boy pants. Because I think there was definitely that feeling among the Yankees when Lindor was yelling at them. They're like, hey, pipe down, little guy, and figure out how to deal with the crowd a little better. So as we sit here today, what's hard about the Mets is we don't know who's going to run baseball operations. We have no idea how many games Jacob deGrom will pitch for the Mets next year, if he's going to be healthy. We don't really know how Lindor is going to do in his second year. It's a good sign that he hit better down the stretch. We don't really see any bedrock there, right? Within the organization, you can't really figure out what their foundation is, which is why I think it's so important for Steve Cohen, one way or another. He's got to get the pieces in place in his front office that he's going to trust. And I hope it's someone who tells him, because I hear it all the time from executive who works with other teams, dude, you got to stop tweeting. You might be the owner, but it's really not something that you should do where you're taking shots at the offense using social media. It's not George Steinbrenner. It's not back in the day. Those those type of tweets will reverberate throughout your organization when you do it, and it's not a good thing.
Buster Olney with us now. Buster, how does your schedule work now? Because Sunday Night Baseball is not a thing, right?
Not this Sunday. All the games are played at 3. I'm doing baseball tonight. We have a show from 6 to 7, a show from 7 to 8. And I'm just waiting and watching to see where I go. If there's some kind of a 3-way tie, then I could be doing a broadcast on Monday at some undisclosed site, or unknown site at this point. And then on Tuesday, I'm doing the wild card game in the American League with Matt Pascurge and Alex Rodriguez.
So what you're telling me is Tuesday, if that's at Yankee Stadium, and I get there, our bromance is back. We're hanging out.
We are definitely not hanging out.
That played out different in my head, guys. That played out different in my head.
I'll edit that later, Levack. Don't worry. I'll edit that for the post.
Buster, for the audio side, when this ends up on Spotify, Goz is going to have a cut. So he's like, we are definitely not hanging out. Yes, hanging out.
Right, exactly.
Oh, man.
That is the busiest day of the year. But I'll be aware of your presence and have security lined up just in case.
Listen, I'm still a large human, Buster. I will get, if I need to get to you, it won't last long. I'll get tased, but I'll get to at least high five you on my way out.
Please save this audio for me.
I will.
Reach out to the authorities.
Levack's going to send you one text, and then he's going to send you another. Buster, can you hear me? Buster, I'm right here.
No,
just ignore your phone, put it on airplane.
Especially if the Yankees start to lose, and that first 40 ounce of beer begins to manifest.
Only the first? All right. Well, if they're losing, it'll be a lot more than 40 ounces, boss. You know that by now. Man, we appreciate you. Missed you, and I'm just every time I talk to my TV on Sunday night, it's only mildly creepy. I swear.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. Always good to talk with you.
Buster, good to talk to you, man. Be good. And if you need anything or you want to come to an arena football game, I am the president of the Albany Empire, so we're the champions. So you let me know. First class treatment. You can flip a coin. We'll take good care of you, whatever you need.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, Buster. Thanks, man. We'll talk to you later.
See you guys.
There he goes, Buster Olney, the best there is, was, ever will be. Love that guy so much. He is absolutely the coolest, and he was nice enough to make some time for us as part of our Tech East Tuesday here at Tech East Fire and Water Restoration. I do want, before I yell at you, let me tell you about my good friends at the Integrative Sleep Center in Boston Spa with Dr. Fred Dreer. I had a moment of just, and by the way, the sun, if you're watching, you should watch on the Gozzilla YouTube or the Tech East Facebook page, just to see how much the sun is absolutely punishing us right now. Like, to the point where, like, during the Buster thing, like, I'm hiding at one point, and you see Goz is doing the same, and I actually had to put my hat on just so I could be over in front of the camera so you can see the beautiful beard. But last night, a couple of my friends are in a chat, right? And my buddy Arnie is complaining about his mask, his CPAP mask. And I'm like, dude, you ever call the Integrative Sleep Center? He goes, what's their number? I'm like, I'll stab you. I'm like, 518-885-6185. Well, I'm doing this and this and this, and they haven't done this for me. I'm like, well, listen, Dr. Dreer and the crew at the Integrative Sleep Center, I had my initial results when I did my at-home sleep study, and if you added up 12 minutes an hour, I wasn't breathing. Not all at once, but over every hour, I averaged 12 minutes where I'd stop breathing. Used the mouthpiece for 6 months. I was down to under 3 minutes. So I had those stats. He didn't have any of those stats. They're just like, here's your CPAP device, go away. Okay, that's not what happens in the Integrative Sleep Center. And as a matter of fact, if they weren't able to help me, they would send me somewhere that could. They have helped me, and it's been a great thing. So my cousin's wife pops in, who's one of our friends. Yeah, I was thinking about getting one of those machines for Fireman Dave. I'm like, are you kidding me? You're not going to call 518-885-6185? You're not going to call Dr. Dreer in the Integrative Sleep Center? You're not going to tell him Levack sent you? I'm family. I did your wedding. You're the first wedding I ever did.
How can you be so selfish?
Right. And worse than that, you're not even going to help your husband sleep, which isn't going to help you sleep. The snore's not going to go away. Mouthpiece, no recalls, easy to travel with, easy to clean, and there for me. Whenever I need an adjustment, if I'm like, it's a little tight on my front toofy, they fix it. Good to go. 518-885-6185, the Integrative Sleep Center in Boston Spa. Dr. Dreer is the man. Lorianne's amazing. Amanda with a smile at the front desk. The whole team, great people. Absolutely great people. Are you pointing? Is there a number somewhere?
There's a new logo right there, Levack.
Oh, there it is.
Top right corner. And also our information below.
There it is.
Center. Yeah, there you go.
I can't do it. High five. No, big thing. All right, you, as the head of Gozzilla Media.
Okay.
You have not spoken to these buttwads?
Oh,
who come on later
about the
tonight?
graphics?
Yeah.
I thought I did. Hang on.
They erased everything.
No.
They erased everything. Why are they erasing it? There's room for their crap.
Did I text them about it?
You probably didn't.
Shoot. I don't see a text about that.
I dislike you very immensely right now. All right.
Your October reads. Oh, shoot. I didn't write that one back either.
Why are they deleting things?
I don't
understand. There's room.
Know.
It's hot as balls in here. It is balls hot. Balls hot. Here, let's stop recording because I don't need Buster. I can record this stuff over here now. All right, here's the deal. It's time for the not so rapid recap. We run through the games from Week 3 of the NFL season. Obviously, everything kicked off on Thursday night, and by everything kicking off, I mean we finally saw that the Texans are turds without Tyrod Taylor. 24-9, they lose to the Panthers. Panthers 3-0, the only team in all of the NFL who have not trailed yet this season.
Impressive by Carolina. If you'd wagered on the game like I did, you kind of got nervous a few times during it. You just thought Houston was going to score, and that was going to be enough. Also, with Christian McCaffrey suffering that injury, I'm hearing reports it's going to be a few weeks. Whatever you think that number is in your head, it's probably going to be longer, especially for fantasy football managers and a longer season. Carolina could win. Houston likely going to battle for the number 1 pick this season.
Yeah, and by battle, you mean they're going to lay down and grab it. How about the Cleveland Browns? 26-6 over the Chicago Bears. I thought the Bears were going to play a style of football that would keep them in this game. They probably thought the same thing. Jokes on them. They couldn't do that because Cleveland is the more talented team. They are, I would say, the better coach team. I don't think Baker Mayfield is by any stretch of the imagination a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, but in this team, he plays very well. The win for the Browns.
A lot of things from this game. First of all, Baker Mayfield post-game quoting Kanye West albums as his answers. Those are funny. Like
he is a top 10 interview.
Funny,
he may be
man.
A top 3 interview, actually.
You know what's driving the Cleveland media insane? Because some of them want to just hate on him to hate on him. But when he's actually showing the personality and sneaking those things like college dropout, late registration, that's so creative and so good.
And how many of them don't catch it is probably my favorite part of all of it.
You know the old school, the newspaper needs to hit the deadline. I'm writing it in. And they don't know. It's so good. If you are a Bear fan, you could criticize Matt Nagy for the coaching job he did because it was horrible. Look, Myles Garrett dominated that game. He was by far and away the best player on the field on offense or defense. Chicago had no chance to block him. But that's on Matt Nagy.
Right.
Myles Garrett just didn't show up. He's been one of the best players in the NFL's defense for years now. Number 1 pick. How did you not have a game plan to slow him down? Yeah. And then Justin Fields. I do and don't feel bad for him. I feel bad for him because Matt Nagy didn't have a good enough game plan to protect a rookie quarterback who could be the future of the franchise. And the other side is, remember in the preseason when they asked him about the NFL and he tore it up in that 1 August game and he said, honestly, it's not faster. I actually thought it was kind of slow, the NFL. How's that pace going now, Justin?
How you feel about that?
A little quicker now with Myles Garrett? Okay, quiet rookie.
Jamar Chase is over here pretending he can't catch a football, then going off. Justin Fields, it's fine. Not so much. OBJ, 5 catches, 77 yards in his return. That's what you need. That's what you need. Baltimore Ravens win a nail-biter. 19-17 over the fighting Dan Campbell's Detroit Lions. Justin Tucker, Justin Tucker, 66-yarder, hits the crossbar, goes through. He's now got a 61 and a 66-yarder against them. Yes, there was some shenanigans as far as what should have been called and wasn't called. Blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. 66-yard indoor field, not Denver. We ain't talking about Denver. We're talking about Detroit. He hits a 66-yarder, wins the game. Baltimore, 19-17 over the Lions. Love the fight in the Lions.
Great guy as a punter. He's in a Hall of Fame. It took a long time for him to get to the Hall of Fame. Morton Anderson's in the Hall of Fame as a kicker. Adam Vinatieri one day is going to be in the Hall of Fame as a kicker. My lifetime, the greatest kicker of all time is Justin Tucker. He's likely going to retire as the most accurate kicker in NFL history. He's likely going to retire with the longest kick in NFL history. Consecutive kicks made. And I'll dust off. Hear that? An old Goz taking, dust it off for years.
Dust it off.
Once they pushed back the extra point in the NFL, the kicker became more valuable than ever in the history of the league because of that situation they were put in. Justin Tucker's a Hall of Famer, and he's the greatest kicker in NFL history.
Best player on the Ravens?
If it was Madden, he'd have the highest rating, so I guess that case would be yes.
Well, I mean, arguably Cole, the punter for the Raiders, is the best player on the Raiders. I mean, he's nasty. So, I mean, there you go. All right, the Colts drop 1 to the Titans, 25-16. Derrick Henry for 113 yards. Ryan Tannehill, 3 touchdowns on 197 yards. The Titans, I feel like the Titans are establishing themselves as the hands-down best team in the AFC South, or whatever the hell division that is. I can't even think anymore because it's so freaking hot in here with the sun beating down on me. But they're going to run away with their division. They're going to be the team to beat, and that's that.
I'm glad you've got more confidence in the Titans than I do, maybe just because of how bad the Jags, Texans, and Colts are. The Colts are now at 0-3. Both of those teams, until about January, for me, I have no idea what they're going to be for the rest of the year. Titans maybe by default win the division, but if we're going to have to wager on these teams for the next 15 weeks, I'm running away because I don't know what I'm getting each week out of both of those teams.
I'd have no problem betting on the Titans to win the AFC South. I'd have no problem. I'd feel very confident.
Oh, yeah, in the division, but like week-to-week matchups, I can't tell you they're going to cover.
Oh, no.
Productive offense or defense is going to tackle.
No. But, I mean, look, they're well coached. They kick ass. They fight hard. they're a lot of fun to be around as far as that goes. And like you said, just enough. Not sure what they're going to do. I am not a Tannehill fan. I think he is. The fact that he's been so successful is impressive, but I think that's more impressive about Vrabel and his staff than it is about what he has for talent. All right, so continue on the not so rapid recap, though. I think we should do it faster because it's hot as balls in here. The Chargers, 30-24 over the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs are in last place in the AFC West. Guys, the last time they were in first was 2016 before this season. Last place right now, 30-24. The Chargers get it done against the Chiefs.
Really bad throw by Mahomes in the fourth quarter. Interesting coaching by the Chargers, deciding to do some things with timeouts and situational spots that almost cost them the game. It didn't. The Chargers, when the Chiefs show up, they play their best football. If you're a Charger fan, hope to bottle that up, and they do that every single week. It feels more like a college game, right? Like where you beat the rival and you lay a big goose egg the next day. Charger fan, hope you continue to do that.
All right. The one thing I will say, the biggest improvement for the Chargers, these are all last minute games they lost last year, and they're winning. So that's scary. Monday night against the Raiders, I'm a little nervous, a little concerned. I thought the Patriots were going to beat the Saints. The Saints said, not so fast, my friend. 28-13. The New Orleans Saints take down the New England Patriots. Mac Jones threw the ball 51 times, 30 for 51, 270 yards, and a touchdown. But just not enough as the Saints get it done. Winston has 2 touchdowns, and they picked Jones 3 times, by the way, as well. So Saints get it done. I think you called this one. I was wrong on it.
Kamara got in the end zone. Winston's going to be up and down the whole season. Here's what this game is more about. It's more about New England because I can't wait. Let me get closer to the camera for this one. You see me, Patriot fan,
Can you
Joe
see
Lynch, and whoever else. I can't wait till my Buccaneers pound New England.
Woo!
It is going to be a public national embarrassment. I can't wait till Tom Brady starts screaming like a psycho at Belichick on the sidelines, like a boxer or a fighter. It's going to be like Khabib versus McGregor. He's going to jump into the octagon. Buccaneers by 3 touchdowns, and Belichick's going to be embarrassed on Sunday night. Hit the Adele music, baby, if I can pay for it.
I'm sorry, the official pick will be Sunday morning live from the Hideaway at the Saratoga Lake Golf Club. Not that I disagree with anything you just said. Just maybe not with the same verb.
They stink. Belichick's overrated. Get burned by my hot take on Sunday.
He's not overrated. He's not overrated at all. The Bengals 24-10 over the Steelers. The Bungles know more, my friend. Joe Burrow and the squad getting it done. 3 touchdowns from Burrow. Ben Roethlisberger, 318 yards. He went 38 for 58. 1 touchdown. Joe Mixon with 90 yards on the ground. Najee Harris over 100 yards, but not enough. 24-10. Are we seeing a changing of the guard?
Yep. The whole thing across the board. Burrow, Chase, great job. I drafted him. Having that connection, wide receiver and quarterback chemistry is so important. It's over for Pittsburgh. Told you in the preseason, they're done. Roethlisberger can't throw. He's toast, retired. Great career, Hall of Fame. He's done. Pittsburgh, see you later, but please don't blame Mike Tomlin. He's a great coach, but Pittsburgh fan, by the time December rolls around, they're going to think it's his fault.
All right, the Jacksonville Jaguars, I thought they would keep this game close, 31-19. They lose to the Cardinals, but the truth of the matter is they had this game. They went into the half up 13-7. They were looking pretty good. Trevor Lawrence throws the pick. Never able to recover. 31-19. The little guy, Kyler Murray, getting it done with the Cardinals over the Jacksonville Jaguars.
He's so much better than I thought he'd ever be, Kyler Murray.
That's fair.
He's
That's fair.
Really good.
It's fair. You were very mean to him.
I was. Twice in a row, Levack, you've had the Jags the lock of the week. Are you now, before I answer, are you done with the Jags for lock of the week? So we'll see what each line looks like every week from now. Because you've been a big Jag fan or Jag hater early on.
I was it. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me a third time, and I'm a jackass. Is that what it is?
Can't get fooled again.
Yeah, well, you can't never get fooled again. I'm gonna have to wait and see because there's going to be value in them. There's going to be value, and I hate that word when it comes to horse racing. But when you're talking about Vegas setting odds, you can sometimes find that number that doesn't make sense and jump on it. So I can't say I definitely won't take them. As of this moment, there's only one game I know I'm taking. That's it. So I can't say 100% one way or the other. But as of right now, yes, they burned me enough that I'm probably pretty good on not messing with them for a little bit.
For the Jacksonville thing, the discussions about Urban Meyer and people, if you were the people that want Urban Meyer to fail in year 1 and just jump, there's a little bit of evil in disrespect to that because he's a legendary college football coach, one of the greats of all time in the history of that sport. With all that being said, I'm getting so much enjoyment about the failure of Urban Meyer. I can't wait till Cincinnati pounds them on Thursday, and then Friday is all about USC and Urban Meyer. Will Urban pull up a Trino and just post it in the lockers? Guys, been a fun ride. I'll see you later.
USC allegedly asked to talk to Anthony Lynn.
Okay, he's not Urban Meyer. So
you want to know the name that I'm shocked hasn't come up yet? It's Bill O'Brien.
Is he a California-style coach? I feel like he's a hard ass, and I don't know if the California kid wants to play with him.
I'm just saying he's a hell of a coach.
He is.
Hell of a coach. Not a good personnel guy. I wouldn't want for personnel, but coaching.
Not a personality guy either.
That's he's a nice guy.
Have you met him?
Yeah, have I?
I don't know.
I think I said hi to him once, but I've never talked to him.
Josh McDaniels, I know you definitely did.
Josh is my boy. We hang out. After he left Emory, he's okay with me. The Los Angeles Rams 34-24 over the overrated, gonna fall off, poopy Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mr. Tom Brady threw for 432 yards in the loss. If somebody picked the Rams to win the Super Bowl and Matthew Stafford to be the MVP of the league, they got to be feeling pretty good after that one.
Yeah, I would go to the Rivers Casino because Levack did that. Maybe trail that bet and just put a little bit
keep
more,
trailing it.
Right?
Just go all the way through.
Pepper on there for the Rams are way better than the Bucs in that game, like from start to finish. And now, as a Buccaneer fan, that discouraged me because I'm like, ooh, like Deshaun Jackson, who's about 45 years old, is torching with his speed, still finally gets to wear number 1. That was not so much about Tampa struggling. LA is really good. They're really good.
Well coached. Matthew Stafford, 343 yards, 4 touchdowns, a quarterback rating of 134.
If we did power rankings, which we won't, I would put the Rams the best team in the NFL right now.
I would as well. I would agree with that. I will also say that it was nice to see Sony Michel get some carries. Starting to feel a little bad about the trade rape I did on Boston Dan, though he did offer that trade. Darren Waller only had the one good game so far too, though, so it's not too bad. Seattle Seahawks fall 30-17 to the Minnesota Vikings. I thought this thing would be a shootout. I thought Seattle would come out in the end. There was just that moment where Minnesota said, we got this and we know what we're doing, and Seattle seemed to fall off. I'm losing a little bit of faith in the Seattle Seahawks this year.
Yeah, DK Metcalf had an okay game. It's just like physically he's such a beast out there. He's a marvel to watch play. For the Vikings, Alexander Madison can play.
Yeah.
Like if you're a Bill fan or a Jet fan, how is he not on your roster? Because you might be able to drop him in. It might be better than any other running back on those two New York teams. He's very good. He should get paid at some point. Minnesota, good balanced team victory over a good Seattle team.
And that's the other thing, too. Like Chris Carson only having 12 carries. When you average 6.7 yards on the ground, you had a long of 30. I give you that. But he looked good, and they didn't give him the ball enough. I think they're afraid. It's that whole Russell Wilson, let Russ cook thing. They become almost a slave to it. And they've got to run that ball. They've got the team to do it. They built up their offensive line a little bit, kind of gave them the run a little too early for my likings. Another game I thought was going to go very differently. The Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers said, relax yet again. His stats are not gaudy, but his play is. Like if you just read the box score like a moron and think that's all it takes to know what happened in a game, you're a dumbass, and you miss Aaron Rodgers just pulling the string and making it happen. 30-28 over the 49ers.
I will fully admit I quit not once but twice on this game. When it was 17-0, I'm like, all right, well, that's a blowout. That's all right.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, San Francisco comes back, and I'm like, oh, well, the Niners got this one. That's a wait. Green Bay won.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers did.
Yep.
I quit twice in the game, which tells me Sunday Night Football, and you've said this, Levack, through the whole month of September. Island games, those spotlight Thursday, Sunday, Mondays have been so good this season.
Very, very much so. The Las Vegas Raiders 3-0, 31-28 over the Dolphins in overtime. The Jacoby Brissett experience, like there was moments where he was slinging it. Like he's a hell of a quarterback. He's not collegiate, like some people would lead you to believe. He is a hell of a quarterback, and he played very well. As a matter of fact, if I'm Tua, I might be looking around going, I don't know why you go back to me. I don't know why you go back to me at this point.
Experience is the greatest way to phrase what happened at quarterback for the Dolphins. Sometimes it's going to look amazing. Sometimes it's going to look terrible. You mentioned Tua. That's kind of Tua, but he's leaned more towards terrible than amazing. Miami Dolphin fan, there have been moments in that game where this has been the theme for the Dolphins in the last few years, where you look like the worst team in the AFC. And there's other times you look like you can beat anybody in the NFL, but it's a better win for your Raiders. And 3-0 is 3-0. Chucky Gruden in the squad looking great.
Big test this week, Monday night against the Chargers. Washington football team, I thought that their defense would at least keep this game close. That is not the case. Josh Allen, 358 in the air, 4 touchdowns, 43-21 over one of the more heralded defense. I can't say best, most heralded defenses in the NFL, and they put 43 on them.
Let's go, Buffalo. Josh Allen and everybody else on that team. Great victory. Washington's been, it seems as if it's become a disappointing team. I loved them against the Chargers. Week 1 didn't happen. They barely got by the Giants. They got smacked around by Buffalo. How much of Fitzpatrick's been the real difference? Heineke's been fine, but it looks as if that Washington just can't rely on a defensive line. They got to find other things to make that team roll, and it hasn't happened.
Then it gets not so good for New York football fans as the Falcons get a last second field goal, and they win this thing 17-14 over the Giants. I can see this being the kind of game that kind of launches Atlanta into being a competitive football team for the rest of the season. I'm not going to pick them as a playoff team, but I think they are a team that obviously has talent. They obviously, the coaching is going to come and go, and we'll see how that comes along. It's first-year head coach, but I think this is the kind of game they could actually build something off of. And conversely, 0-3, 17-14, you lose this game, the Giants. This was one you circled as a must-win, I think, and you didn't get it done.
Total embarrassment for the New York Giants. This needs to be a sit-down conversation with the Mariners and figure out why is everything so awful? Like everything. From the offense to the defense to the coaching staff to the everything is bad in New York. Atlanta, good. You got the victory. You went out on the road and grabbed one for the Matt Ryan-led team, which Matt Ryan still. A lot of people in fantasy talked about Matt Ryan stinking and being done. He might be done. Like I talked about Roethlisberger earlier. Matt Ryan does not look like the quarterback we've seen who might be a borderline Hall of Famer too. Both those teams have a lot of issues for the future. We look at the rosters, the teams, the executives, the decision makers now in September of 2021. We'll see how many are in that same spot in September of 2022.
There's going to be a shakeup of some variety. I would assume they'll have a new offensive coordinator in a week or two if they don't do something
Atlanta
crazy.
Or New York or both?
New York. Atlanta's going to keep staying pat for a little while. New York's having a new offense. Garrett's gone. I think he's the easy bloodlet. Just sorry, buddy, you're not getting it done. Speaking of not getting it done, 26-0. The Broncos beat the Jets. This has got Broncos fans running around acting crazy. Jets are just bad. They're just not. They're at that growth pain where it's they want to develop an identity, but they don't have the people to play that game. Wilson's not good enough. Your inexperience at coaching is showing. I think they will end up being better out of all this because Saleh doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who is going to, lose a bunch of games in 1 year and then go, I just don't know what I'm doing. He strikes me as the kind of guy who's going to learn something from each game, and the team is going to get better.
The whole roster, when you kind of start digging through it,
not good.
In comparison to Jet rosters of the past, especially, it's not good. Even like additions they had, like Corey Davis. He's the third best player as a wide receiver on the Titans, and he's supposed to be your number one guy all of a sudden on your team. Your running backs. You had cases they weren't the best running backs on their college teams. You can argue Zach Wilson wasn't the fourth best quarterback in this year's draft class. You go through across the team, you're like, man, did we kind of like buy a bargain here and hope it worked out? And right now it's showing that here's a fun game. Who is the best player on the New York Jets? You might struggle to answer that at this point.
That's
hard to answer.
I guess it's Quentin Williams. I guess.
Sure. I'm not going to argue with it. Okay.
I don't really feel great about any of them. No, it's just. But again, Jets fan, you're gonna have growing pains. Don't freak out. It's year one, game 3, not even year 1 yet. And then the Cowboys. Cowboys are so talented that their coaching sucking is not a problem. That's how talented they are. Their coaching, their defense. Quinn, I love him. He's fine. Head coach McCarthy, he's a joke. I don't think he should be a head coach in the NFL. But 41-21. You're that damn good. Dak Prescott is that damn good. Zeke Elliott, that damn good. Your defense is gonna continue to get better.
That was a huge victory for Dallas. You mentioned earlier in this not so rapid recap that you'd go place money on Tennessee. I'm gonna struggle to find somebody who can catch Dallas. And I say this about every time we do the not so rapid recap, like the faith in the Cowboys and the talent. I know I've said that out loud a few times, like in September, that Dallas is the team to beat, and then December rolls around and you and I are doing playoff scenarios of this team, Dallas. Come on. Like, just don't screw this up. Like, this is it. This should be a cakewalk this season for the Cowboys in that division.
And the only thing I feel really good about this week right now, I'd call Buster, have the family. I'm Baltimore. I think Baltimore's going to boat race Denver this week. I think it's going to be bad. I think it's going to be an ugly game.
I don't feel as confident in that game as you do, but I do feel confident in it being like a 14-17 21-20 game. I'm betting Broncos unders till the wheels fall off. You hear me? 45.5 under.
Mario, Levack and Goz. If the Empire needs an easy preseason warm-up next year, my Giants would be the great patsy to sacrifice to the Albany faithful. That's sad. That's bad. But I mean, it's not necessarily off the books. We could probably make that happen, and I feel pretty good about it, depending upon how many of my guys I can get back in town for it. That's the most we did, but we did get L. Egas on the Godzilla Media Facebook. Any comments on Honorado's new morning job with WNYT? Huge Honorado fan. We both love Chris. So anything that's good for Chris, love it. The downside is I don't usually watch morning news, but he's got me kind of wanting to wake up and watch it because I do love Chris so much. He's phenomenally talented, great guy. Love him. He's going to do well, whatever job they give him. And thrilled to have a good guy get a good job.
Awesome stuff for Chris. I think you and I might have to offer him a little bit of advice for the morning because you worked in mornings. I worked in mornings. You worked far longer in mornings than I did. I saw his alarm set for 2 a.m. Maybe TV is different than radio.
He's got to remember that flow doesn't just happen. You don't get that kind of hair. You don't get that head lettuce out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? It's a good looking man right there.
I actually texted Chris about the new gig the other day. I probably shouldn't share this private conversation, but it's Levack and Goz in the new traditional, non-traditional way. That's right. I asked Chris about it. I'm like, hey, man, like, you got to wake up like crazy early. He's like, yeah. I'm like, you have events you host on Monday nights in Saratoga.
Yeah, you host trivia, right?
Yeah, host trivia. I'll say the place, West Side Stadium.
Yeah, why not?
West Side, right? I'm like, you probably can't do that anymore. He's like,
right.
I'm going to give it a month, and I'll see how I feel. And I'm like, I'll give you the answer. You're not going to feel good. Like,
yeah, but
so you do what you got to do, man.
Yeah, but he's, him. Chris Honorado's a workaholic. He's an absolute straight up. He's a digger. He's a go getter. So if anybody can make it work, it's going to be our boy Chris O. Did you ever talk about our good friends at Johnstone?
I did not talk about our friends at Johnstone Supply in Troy. They've shared some news on their Facebook page.
I'm glad this is the end of the show.
Did you?
Because I'm gonna need some time to myself afterwards.
Did you see that Johnstone Supply in Troy? Levack, you let the secret out, so Johnstone just said, you know what? We're just going to announce it today. Yeah, even though I'm supposed to meet with them on Friday about all the details of the event, here they are. Ooh, we're moving forward with the October.
Tell me slower.
40 tickets. We're going to have a bus trip heading from Johnstone Supply in Troy on 6th Avenue to the Pink Game for Albany football when they take on Maine on October 23rd. So for more information on this, check out Johnstone Supply Troy NY, their Facebook page, to find out how you can be a part of the event coming up. Johnstone Supply kicks cancer this October. Find out more about it at Johnstone Supply Troy NY, their Facebook page. We're going to have more announcements across all Godzilla Media platforms coming up in October for that event and how you can be a part of that bus. Levack, you are going to be on the field emceeing the event.
Yeah,
so you're out on the first Godzilla Media bus, even though you just found out about it last week.
Yeah, I know. You didn't tell me anything about it, which rude. It sucks. I love our guys at Johnstone. Good dudes. Though I did just slap the daylights out of old Tommy Boy in fantasy. I went 5-0 this week. I had 5 fantasy games. I won all 5. The one downside is I slapped the daylights out of my kid too, so I feel terrible about that. I love it. I guess just quick. Love Johnson. Wish I was on the bus with everybody, but I'll see you guys when you get to the game. I guess all my daughter's friends started giving her a hard time because she couldn't beat me in fantasy football. My kid goes, "Don't get mad at me because you guys decided to trash talk the guy who's only talked about football for the last his entire life, but professionally for 8 years. You guys started this fight." So now I'm going into the text groups, and I'm I'm putting up the Goldberg. I'm this kid Jaden. I'm playing up Jaden. You're next. I'm just going after everybody now. Now it's on. I have yet to play a week in that league where I wouldn't beat everybody. In a couple of the leagues I won this week, I would have lost to most of the other teams. I got the cupcake. This league, I'm a monster. I'm a dominant animal in this league.
So it's not just points; it's victories and points. Is exactly what you want your team to be.
Yeah. Just dominant. I'm averaging 153 a week.
Just
handling business.
One other thing to add to Johnstone, you and I will be broadcasting live Friday, October 15th from 4 to 5:30. We're going to have a chance for you to be a part of that bus trip when we do a drawing at that show that day.
Very busy that day. I can't possibly.
Or we might do the contest online. I don't know yet. We were supposed to go over that, and you blew the secret last week, and then Tom decided to post it on Facebook. But I'm okay with that because now I can stumble through this read and have fun and promote Johnstone Supply in Troy.
Listen, however you want to give it away, that's fine. Everybody knows the bus trip would have been more fun if I was on it. I'm saying that's where you screwed up.
Pinstripe Bowl, Fenway Bowl. We got a bowl game potentially for Syracuse, Levack. Could be bus trip number 2.
All right. I'm just saying.
Syracuse has got to beat
Why don't
Florida
you go ahead
State.
and schedule that one time when I can actually go? How about you do that, huh?
Why is Florida State a 4.5 point favorite over Syracuse? That sounds like a sucker bet to me all day. I'm nervous about my Orange this weekend.
Syracuse sucks. Terrible.
3-1 should be 4-0, but I'm very nervous about that Seminole game in Tallahassee. Something fishy is going on there.
Something fishy is going on here. Is in the sun's finally to the point where we can do the show comfortably, and we're done. All right, everybody, we're back. Are we going to do a Saturday morning show?
Yeah, I'd like to.
So Saturday morning we'll do a little game day. We'll give you some college football picks. I don't know if I'll have any because I suck at college football this year. I am god awful at college football this year. Hopefully now that I've got my twin off the back of my head, maybe I'm better now. We'll see how that goes. But so Saturday morning, what are we talking? 10 a.m.
10 a.m. live from the Deuce.
10 a.m. from the Deuce. We'll do a little pregame for you. Sunday, 11:30. We're over at the Hideaway. We'd love if you guys came by and said hello to that while we're there. Just stop by, and then back here for another Techies Tuesday. Just keeping it rolling. Just keeping it rolling. More and more. You guys want more Levack and Goz? We're giving you more Levack and Goz. Hopefully, it doesn't suck. That's the whole goal of the show. Thanks to Techies Fire and Water Restoration for giving us the studios, the Techies Fire and Water Restoration Studios, tefirewater.com. Thanks to Integrative Sleep Center, Johnstone Supply. Thanks to
Mohawk Honda, where they always go out of their way to please you.
I saw you pull in.
Yeah.
I can't believe how nice your pilot is still. That just shows you how good John is over in service. That just shows you. John's amazing because there's no way that your pilot should look that nice.
We're going to be broadcasting live from Mohawk Honda on Friday, October 22nd. So get ready for that. Kelly Blue Book offer going on right now. For more information about Mohawk Honda, check our Apple and Spotify. We're going to post all the information there about great deals going on this fall. And like we said, on the visual side, tickers running with all that cool stuff. And we're going to also make sure to shout them out on Saturday during the Deuce and at the Hideaway like we always do.
Yep. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. And if you just make sure you like, subscribe, and don't jaywalk. It's bad for you, and it makes the cops very unhappy. Have a good one, everybody. We'll talk to you Saturday live from the Deuce. A little college football action. Levack and Goz. Peace out. See you later.